Hello everyone and welcome to the Gunpla Network. I'm the Spicer and today's review of 2001's high-grade GP03 Stamen comes to you courtesy of those fine folks over at Canadian Gundam. Canadian Gundam is your one-stop shop for all things Playmo and Gunpla here in North America. With flat rate shipping to the US and Canada, a private warehouse option, and a vast catalog that they restock regularly, they're going to have you covered whatever you need. When you're checking out that vast catalog and placing your next order, don't forget to use the promo code Gunpla Network to save yourself 10% off. Now, if you watched the unboxing, you knew I was kind of lukewarm on this. I'm not a huge fan of the GP03. I don't think it's bad, but I also know that that's not really the point of the GP03, right? It's the Gundam is not the cool factor, it's the big mobile armor that it pops into. And sure, the Gundam has some gimmicks like some sub-arms and some moving parts, but it's very basic looking and there's nothing really special to write home about. Or at least that's what I thought until I built it. For whatever reason, in the process of building it, and I think it's largely chalked up to the proportions of the kit, the GP03 might be one of my, not my favorites, but it does jump up quite a bit from where it was. I generally like the design. I do think the backpack's a little bit over the top. Obviously, it slots into the mobile armor, so it kind of has to be that way. But I actually like the base design now. I didn't hate it, but I just didn't really care for it. Now I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of a good-looking design. But overall, aesthetically, it's pretty nice. Very minimal in terms of stickers, very color accurate because well, there's not a lot of color on it to begin with. You do have some panel lining opportunities, especially down on the legs, and some actually decent painting opportunities all over the place as well. Largely just kind of black or gray or inner frame like metallic-y parts that you can paint up if you really wanted to. Not that you have to, but you can. And it just looks good. I actually kind of like it. It's everything proportionally is where it needs to be. And while I'm not a huge fan of the backpack, I do actually really appreciate this representation of it. Now, in terms of kind of the top half, as I said, there's not a lot of stickers, and pretty much all of them are here. You have a sticker in the top camera, a sticker for the eyes, and a sticker for like the chest backup camera. And they're all fit in there very well. They're very basic, not a lot going on here. And while I think a more modern rendition of this would probably have a few more color correcting stickers, this is really all you need, right? I mean, the head sculpt is a little different. Obviously, it kind of makes the eyes look a little bit smaller, but the eye sticker's fine. It's fit in there quite well. The camera stickers are fine. A little bit harder to get the one in the chest there because it is in a pretty deep cavity, but it's not too hard if you've got some very fine-tipped tweezers. But there's a lot of real opportunity here. Like if you do want to just do a little touch-up paint work, there's a lot of stuff you could do on the head, the shoulders. If you wanted to, you could probably do a little bit on the torso, but it doesn't really need it. Out of the box, it looks fine in my opinion, and it's a good base to build off of. Especially since you don't have to take a lot of stickers off if you put them on for a review like myself, which is why usually I leave most of the kits I review in the state that you see them in most of the time. But yeah, the GP03, the top half looks fine. All the panel lining, the nubs, the seam marks are pretty solid. You kind of have your traditional old school high grade stuff, but it's nothing too crazy. In terms of the legs, this is I think where this kit sold me in the weirdest possible way. I think the lower half, while it's very basic, I actually like it quite a bit more than a very similar representation of this in like the base GP01. I don't know why, proportionally, I just feel like everything works really well together. And yeah, it is just there. I do think I'm going to go back and repaint the little black boxes down on the legs, the two on, or I guess the 4 on the knee, and then the 2 on the calves there, to just add a little bit of color there. Or maybe I'll make some gray or something, I don't know yet. But they're nice. Then you get 2 stickers down at the bottom for cameras. That's fine, I guess. There's that one actually I don't really care for. But just above those stickers are probably the absolute worst nub marks I can think of off the top of my head. Luckily, they're on white plastic, so they are kind of hard to see. But they're in a position where, unless you have really fine nippers, or you have like fairly small sanding sticks, it's really hard to get them off, which is why you can still see them on mine. Yeah, you're going to have a problem getting most files in there, just due to kind of the shape of the piece. And like I said, your nippers, unless they're fairly long and fine, are going to have problems getting right up against the plastic. Pretty minor in my opinion. It kind of blends, and I know there are ways to fix it, but yeah, hobby knife woodwork, it's just a little bit more dangerous. Now, once you get it all armed up, I have to say this is the underwhelming part of the kit. As much as I like the base version of this, just the proportions and just how it looks as a mobile suit, the beam rifle is just the same one from the GP01, which is one I've never really cared about. I think it kind of looks a little bit small and anemic. The beam saber, of course, is that old school toothpick, so little bit of paint goes a long way. But it does bum me out you don't get any like just regular beam saber handles, like hilts. You do on the GP01, which is just a year before this, but the way the beam sabers are stored in the backpack, it's just a special piece and it's not a full hilt, which is a little disappointing. And then you have the folding shield, which I think is probably the absolute dumbest shield in the world. Like, I get that it's, like kind of retrofitting the idea of a sliding shield and a moving shield, because you see it later in Zeta, but this is way worse than the sliding shield of, like, the GP01 and the Mark II. The folding shield is just dumb, in my opinion. This is, like, very much Gundam X vibes. Like, the Gundam X's beam rifle is also a shield, and I don't like that design either, to be totally... I like it in beam rifle mode, but when it goes into a shield mode, I think it looks dumb. Same thing here. It doesn't fit very well either, because it has handles on both sides of the actual connector, of which both run into the actual arm. So you can get it on there, you kind of have to force it, unfortunately, but personally, I'm not going to have it this way. Like, I'm probably going to just have it in a static pose with a beam saber, and that's it. Because I don't like the beam rifle or the shield, but those are my personal opinions. You may like those designs, because I know there are quite a few people that do, but they're there. They look fine, I guess. They're just, from a design perspective, not something I care all that much about. You also do get a folding bazooka, which is a pretty cool gimmick. A little difficult to get in the hand, because you do have to, like, kind of tilt the hand off to the side and holding it. And getting it over the shoulder is quite difficult, so it's cool that you have it. Not super necessary in my opinion. I don't think I'm going to use this. I think it's actually a really nice looking bazooka, and I would like a bazooka like this if this ever got a revive, but I don't believe I'm going to use it on this version. The folding mechanism works, but it's a little wonky. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't clean the nubs very well on this, so you're gonna see some nubs. I'm sorry guys, it's just how it is. But yeah, I mean, it's a cool design, it's just not super well executed or usable for this version of this kit. You also do get a core fighter, which is pretty cool. A little bit of paint here goes a long way, you get some love out of it, and it's a nice little extra additional display piece. Now, of course, I can understand people don't really care for this. It's only a few parts that are clammed together, so nothing big, but it is nice that it's there, and for these designs, which I think are some of the better looking core fighters, it is nice that they're included. Not necessary, just something I'm really glad Bandai kind of took the extra time out to throw in, and if you do put a little bit of paint on it, you can get it fairly screen accurate fairly quickly, and you have some decent panel lighting opportunities if you ever decide to do so. Now, in terms of the gimmicks, you of course have the sub-arms. The Stamen was doing it before the Barbados made it cool. I know some people are going to hate that comment. But yeah, I mean, the sub-arms are there, they're fine, they're little grabby things. I know a lot of things actually use sub-arms now that I think about it. The OA had sub-arms. I think a lot of stuff in Zeta has sub-arms. It doesn't matter. Sub-arms are there, they look fine. The mechanism works pretty good. The little clampers are okay as well. They clip together fairly well. They don't really hold anything though, so I mean, maybe you could put a beam saber in one if you really wanted to, but this just goes back to the whole kind of point of the suit was for it to be in the mobile armor, and that's what these are supposed to be used for, to grab extra weapons and stuff. So you don't really have the functionality unless you get, like, if you can find the old high grade mobile armor unit, because I'm almost positive they made it, unless I'm crazy or maybe this is like a Mandela effect situation, but I'm pretty sure it exists. So yeah, you miss out on a lot of that. Now, like I said, there are a lot of potentials. You can add things to this as far as weapons, and it wouldn't be too crazy. But yeah, just the stuff it comes with and the gimmicks, well, they work. A little underwhelming. Subarms are fine. The back thrusters are okay, but they're only like 2 or 3 pieces. And then the little top parts that have the beam saber handles, they're just molded in. I would have really loved a gimmick where the handles actually went in there. And if we see a revive of this at any point ever, that's probably something that's going to happen. So I'm really excited for that possibility because I think it'll work really, really well. Because it looks really cool here, it's just not functional, unfortunately. And I didn't have the proper mobile armor, but if you do have the G and Arms high grade, you can absolutely get this bad boy on there. Now, you do need an adapter, because this is old. This is 2001, so there's not a actual PC joint in the bottom of the crotch where you can just insert a little tab or a little stand piece. You have to use like one of the 4-pronged old school ones that go around to like the hip joints. But after that and removing all the backpack stuff, you can absolutely get it in there, and it doesn't look terrible. It doesn't look out of place. It is a little odd, and it does look a little different, but if you want it in a mobile armor, you can do it. And can't really use the sub arms super well in this. I guess you could find a way to do it, but I just thought this is kind of a fun thing to do because, you know, it's a little different, a little goofy, a little fun. But yeah, so there you go. If you have it, there you go. You can absolutely put it in there. And this brings me to the end of the really only 2 reviews of the GPO series, GP01 through GP03. I will be doing a follow-up like I did with all the Kira high grades before, picking out which one's the best, which one's the worst, kind of giving you some reasons why. And I will, since I'm working on a separate video for the GP01 since we already reviewed it, I'm going to be doing a touch-up video on the GP01, making a Titans version, so I'll be painting it, and also might do a Beam Saber update, adjustment, customization tutorial type thing in there as well. We'll see if I don't screw it up. But I think I'll also do a little bit of touch up on the GP02 and GP03 just to kind of do the whole series, and it's not just me repainting one thing. But yeah, so stay tuned for that follow-up where I judge all these 3 against each other, and then that follow-up where I do some painting and some customization. Anyway, in the comments below, let me know if you've got questions. I'll do my absolute best to answer them. As always, friends, I've been the Spicer. Thanks for staying with me. Do your best to stay safe, and keep on building.